This is Beyond the Resume, the podcast that brings you the stories, advice, and insights behind some of the most successful people in real estate. Beyond the Resume is brought to you by Jackson Lucas Executive Search, the industry leader in human capital solutions. Here is Chris Papa and Lisa Flicker.
Lisa, we made it
That's
another
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
We made it another year. Lisa, what do you think?
You know what? This has been an interesting one, but I think we survived. You know that people kept saying survive till 2025. Well, we survived beyond it. So good for us.
I mean, if you look at all our work we've done, and we had a great, really good placement year. If you look at the entire company, so people were hiring. Maybe it wasn't the acquisition roles. We were, it was a lot of asset management still, capital markets, fundraising. So there's a lot of activity. It just wasn't like people were hiring. There was a couple like in acquisition development type roles, new originations roles, but still mainly the asset management and the capital market side of things, and some CFO ones, some accounting stuff. So yeah, it was interesting. I guess, as you know, like when more people start doing deals, people got to hire more and more and more, right? But I felt like it was a really overall great, really good year.
It was I think what was also great about it was there were so many capital raisers being hired. And I feel like that has been such a fun search to work on. And for every company, it was so unique, right? Like you have owner developers who maybe have always been the founders or the people the CEO has always been the one raising the capital. And it's
Mhm.
always been interesting to see how they now are bringing in some more institutional type folks to streamline that process. I wonder if that's just a function of it's been really hard to raise capital and they've realized they can't just do it on the golf course.
Yeah, yeah. And as you know, like the hardest part of that is like the kind of the sticker shock of people that I want somebody with a book of business, and like the people with books of business are pretty expensive. And so it's about one, the sticker shock of having that person, or are they going to hire somebody without maybe a book of business that that takes a while to ramp up. So they're not going to come in day one and just be able to have checks written for them. And also like the setup of bringing in institutional type investors, like it's much different than like guys and gals on the golf course. There's so much more diligence done on the firm, and you have to set up systems, and it takes effort it takes money outlay just to build a system around that.
I feel like the biggest misconception I've had from every new client is, hey, I just want to hire somebody who has a Rolodex and
Right.
I don't need to pay them much. I'll pay them if they raise capital. I mean, it's good for them, but these people make a lot of money.
I know. If that was the people would just be buying, getting all these capital raisers, right? If that was the way
Yeah,
it was. But yeah, the ones with book to business, they want high guaranteed comp.
right. And they're getting it. So it's
Yeah.
the jury's still out on how successful all these folks will be, but that has been the most fun thing that I've worked on multiple times this year. It's
Yeah. And
also been
as you know, I do a lot of work in the affordable housing world. Like the things that I've found really interesting is all this institutional capital being put into that world. And so we've done, chief development officers. We've done a lot of these searches where like, hey, we're getting all this money. We got to figure out how to put it out. And so that's the one world that I've been working in I've seen people hiring like on the more the development acquisition type front. Like how do we build this out? And so yeah, and that's a lot of those are still and more like big family office money too is getting into that world. So there's a lot more capital in that world. I always find it interesting when the PE shops get involved to kind of see because they have these returns they need to get. And I'm not sure if they're able to get them through affordable housing, but we'll see. But definitely family office is like great capital for affordable housing.
right. Yeah, because it's steady and it's,
Yeah.
a good place to put your money. But, I feel like from the affordable housing standpoint, and, this certainly came to a head here in New York City with our elections. I feel like there has been I go to all these New York REBNY and different events, and people are so worried that everyone is looking at these landlords and expecting them to be profits. So, how do you fill that
Yeah.
that void where it's like, look, everybody needs a place to live, right? So, and I'm the moderate in the middle, and you kind of are too often, and I feel like it becomes hard because people need to make money to move forward with their business plans, but also, this is where you need people to be able to live where they work.
It's yeah, if there was an easy solution, they do it. Yeah, you don't wanna you have to incentivize the landlord to help maintain their properties and put capital into them, and also it's just gonna be like, the Bronx is burning back in the '70s, where it's just slumlords. But, I mean, one of the solutions that's I heard somewhere was maybe it's all about just having, government subsidies to the land like, to the rents to the landlords. So this way, they're still incentivized to keep up their buildings, and that makes the rents cheaper, you know what I mean? So, maybe it's not about the landlords having to force their rents down, but, like, the government coming in and helping subsidize those rents in a way. So, hopefully I mean, I know that, Mandani has I know a lot of the people on his task force, and, like, they're the smartest people in affordable housing, so hopefully they can come up with a good solution. But, yeah, I mean, it's affecting the country all over the country, not just New York, and so when action isn't taken on the private side, that's when voters get out and they say, "Alright, let's see if we can change it up. We'll see what happens." So, hopefully it all ends up with more people are living in more housing and more housing they can afford, and less of their paychecks going to the housing so they can live, good lives and closer to their work and all that stuff. So, I mean, that's one of the reasons I do a lot of work in this space because I see a lot of creative people trying to come up with solutions and not just complaining about the problems. So let's talk about the podcast. We've been doing it a couple of years now. I think we had our best year so far. We had some really great guests. I mean, the highest rated show was Jeff Yeager with Standard Communities, which is no surprise. I mean, he's a big name. They have people just know that firm. They're huge now. That was a great interview. He talked about how they're doing a lot of giving back, and he understands his privilege, where he came from, and that he feels it's his responsibility to give back to the folks. And it seems like they're actually doing that. I was just talking about it, which is awesome. Is there any also Sydney? I remember Sydney Garchick from
She was great.
You can MRK. She was awesome, and I actually got to meet her in person. It's great when we can meet these people in person. Like sometimes we meet them before we know them, and then we get them on the podcast. But a lot of times we don't. We never met these people in person, and we get them on the podcast. So Sydney, I never met in person. Then I got to meet her at AHF, and we sat down, and it was like she was the same in person as she was on the podcast. She's awesome. So, any ones that stand out to you?
You know what? I loved having David Kramer on, and we've had the luxury of doing some work with him. I feel like he's a good leader, and I kind of enjoyed his time. But you know what? The one that stands out to the most to me was Michael, and I'm definitely going to botch his last name. When he played the piano for us, I feel like
Yeah, yeah.
that was a winner for me.
Yeah, he was great. Nachemkin, Michael Nachemkin. Yeah, I met him through Montclair State, where I was the president of the real estate board, and he's on the board. He's such a nice guy. And it shows like all different types of backgrounds and personalities are in the real estate world. Yeah, it's hard to pick ones that stand out. Like Arturo Snyder, he's kind of revitalizing parts of LA. Who else? I was going through. We had Raphael.
Yeah, Berman was interesting, and I feel
Yeah,
like I haven't seen the real estate industry as focused on PR and marketing and development as they've been this year. I don't think I've really ever seen that. I feel like there's such a big push towards not only trying to do good, but let everybody else know you're doing it. And so that was a lot of fun.
I think it goes back to that capital thing, right? Like people I feel like real estate used, or a lot of it still, or was like, it's got to be this private club that nobody knows about, sort of thing. And they just would get capital because they just knew some people. But now it's like, yeah, people are trying to attract new forms of capital, and they're like, wow, I actually have to go out and be front facing and do this stuff. And yeah, that's what I think. And I think Sarah is amazing, just the way she built their business, and that was a great get. I also like Rafael Sestano with Community Preservation Corp. They have the housing problem. Like everybody, he's a host of that. Like everybody who comes on our podcast says that's like their favorite podcast, and it's one of my favorite podcasts. So that was awesome. I'm hoping one day he will bring us on his podcast. We'll see. Just throwing it out there, Rafael.
You know what? Persistence and just keep going. We'll get there.
That's right. What about with Brandon Sedloff? I missed that one. I know your buddies then.
I love Brandon. What he's built at Juniper Square is it's something really special. And I feel like he's just one of those people that just like brings you into his world. You talk to him, and we sit on a council together for ULI, and you just want to be near him. Genevieve was a great podcast guest. It was fun to hear what he's building up in Connecticut.
Yeah. Well, so let's bring in Julio. I mean, we mentioned Julio. People think he's fake. Like he's our AI bot, but Julio is the producer and editor of the show. He's a wonderful person. Julio, say hi, and can you also give us a list of the top 5, I guess, rated podcasts?
Hi, Chris and Lisa. Great year on the podcast, actually. It was your best year to date. The pivot to video was great. Adding the webinar wrinkle was awesome. 5 most popular episodes in 2025 were Jeff Yeager, David Kramer, David Genovese, Sherry Thompson, and Andrew Jermansky, with honorable mention to Sharif Mitchell.
West Tab, yeah. Great. Oh, yeah, that one I missed. I love Sharif. Lisa, you got to talk to Sharif without me.
You know what? I feel like Sharif and I had such a great conversation, and then we followed it up with a meeting. He's he's doing some special things. I feel like he's high energy. He's just he's very passionate about what he does. He had some artwork in the background, which was particularly fascinating. And he told me every time he closes a deal, he buys a piece of artwork to represent it. And
Really?
I thought that was, and it's like kind of like from the area or something.
That's cool.
I thought that was special. You know, I'm always looking for ways to spend money, so it was great.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually met him once. I was meeting someone for a breakfast, and he was meeting that person right before me. So I briefly met him in person. He seemed like a great guy. And just to shout out some other people, Sherry Thompson was great. I mean, Janae Jackson, who's with Home Rise, and I'm involved with the board there at Home Rise. So she's amazing. And then we had our good buddy, the King of New Jersey, Ty Barnes. Yeah, and we've both known Ty for a long time.
I think everyone knows Todd.
Yeah, and he's part of the Montclair State stuff too. Like all these people that like volunteer. I mean, I asked them to help me do things, and we don't pay them for it. They go out of their way to like help these students and stuff. And at least you're involved with a lot of that stuff too. And those people are just not everyone does that.
It's my favorite part of what we do, Chris, that the ability to work with students and kind of figure out what the next generation, how the next generation and the older generation work together. And you just look at like the world is just so different, right? You have like transparency in a way that it was never like that when I was a kid. Nobody knew. Now I feel like everybody knows what everybody's making. People are posting it. People are talking about it. And I think what what I found interesting was this year, I feel like it's kind of led to a lot of candid conversations between employers and employees around compensation and how compensation is structured. And I think in the future, we're going to see more people getting paid more directly tied to what they do for a business than kind of this more hypothetical, we all pitch in and do it. Working with universities, I feel like that's also been an interesting thing, is like just talking about starting compensations. It's everybody's top of mind. I guess it ties into the housing as well, the
Right.
affordability of things.
I know. And then you have small businesses can't afford it. It's such a, we need some aliens to come down and like figure this stuff out.
I also love doing the change management and AI, because I think that's a hot topic in every office right now, which is like, how do we maybe proceduralize some tasks? How do we, AI is obviously not replacing people anytime soon, but it's like, how do you use it to be the most efficient? And I think that conversation, which actually was before ChatGPT came out,
Mhm.
w-
But yeah,
was
yeah,
interesting just
before.
to hear
Yeah.
how
Right.
some big companies are working on that.
Well, Lisa, you look very comfortable in your office there in New York City. But prepare to get uncomfortable because you just sat on the hot seat.
Love the hot seat. I've never gotten to sit. Well, the first time I did get to sit on it. I'm ready.
Hotter this time.
I might be asking you right back, so that's part of the
No, no, it's impossible. It's against the rules. Julio.
fun.
All right. Question number 1. You know these questions. You ask them. What's your favorite book or podcast? How about like one that you've focused on this year, not in your life?
So this year, I have been reading. So it's interesting. There's this culture series by Ian Banks that I've heard a lot of folks, especially Elon Musk, talking about. It's a science fiction book that talks and series that talks about our world in a post scarcity environment where we all have enough of what we need because the robots can make it and we don't need to work for it. And I started reading it and I felt like I was never really smart enough to like fully comprehend it. So now I'm doing kind of the next best thing where I've kind of created a little guide through ChatGPT where I
Nice.
read it and then I have ChatGPT like talk to me like I'm in middle school or high school and explain it to me. And it's a fascinating concept to think about like if we do have robots doing everything for us and we're not so resource constrained, how does that kind of affect the world? So I don't know. I like to go deep. That's been an interesting one that I've spent some time on.
Do you have a
How
name for
about
your
you?
do you have a name for your chat GPT?
No, but I do need to name it. I want to have a ChatGPT twin too.
Little Lisa from the park.
That's right.
Books for me, I don't read a lot of I read a lot of Richard Rohr. It's not related necessarily to, he's never met me, but he's been my mentor for many years. He started a place in New Mexico called the Center for Action and Contemplation. And he is someone who was raised Catholic and like turned against the Catholic Church essentially because of all like the rules and how they were against gay people and all this stuff that was like I found disgusting. There's still a part of me that was like very culturally Catholic, and he has kind of been able to integrate a lot of that into my life, and make me feel okay being, I guess, Catholic. And he talks about a lot of yeah, meditation and contemplation and love, and it's really shaped the way I see the world. As we how we see God is how we see the world, and so it's really shaped that. And going back to the abundance thing, instead of original, he says instead of original sin, which I was raised to believe we're all bad people and like God's the only thing that can redeem us, is that original blessing. So it's a much different perspective and a much better perspective. And I'm much, much, much happier believing that. So I know it's not real estate related, but it is essentially in a mindset perspective, change.
It affects us all, right? The way you think about business. I would say in the last year or two, it's the first time. So I read the Ikigai. I don't know if you've read that, but it's kind of like looking at what you love to do and what you're good at and picking that intersection and pursuing that as a career. And I think a lot of this stuff people thought was like, hocus pocus, whatever. They were not into it at all. But I feel like the more we realize there is something to that spiritual piece of it and feeling fulfilled and creating careers
Oh
in that
yeah.
way.
I mean, people don't have a lot of money. Companies don't necessarily have a lot of money to give people right now. They have a lot of like hope and growth potential and culture. And so they're not outbidding people for a ton more work or ton more money. So yeah, that's the piece of it, right? Now, you and I know how busy you are. You're the busiest person think I have in my life. What do you do to stay grounded?
So I have started a couple of things, but this year I've spent some time. I do solid core now, which is a Pilates class, even though I can't do it perfectly. I think my mantra for the year has been, executing perfectly is not perfect. And you gotta kind of just you gotta go with it. So I've been doing some of that. I feel like I'm getting to a point in my life. I'm 53 years old. I'm starting to think about longevity and family and really focusing in on doing things, long walks and forest bathing and things that get me out of the day to day because it is true. Like I feel like some days I open my calendar and there's a meeting every half hour from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And it's like
It is. That's literally your calendar.
it's literally my calendar. Well, my New Year's resolution, and next year I'll play this back and see if it works, is to maybe be a little bit more focused on a few less things. So we'll see if I'm capable of it.
Sorry, I'm just texting on an offer here. Got a live deal happening here. I got a live deal.
The live deals have to come first. That's somebody's life. That's somebody's offer, somebody's move.
Yeah.
How
Um,
about you? What do you do to stay grounded?
we're partners of this firm, right? And like we're literally like the people. Like that's the maybe a difference. Like client texting me and I'm texting the candidate to make sure everything's smooth. We're not just like handing that stuff off. Um, uh, so yeah, for me, smoking cigarettes picked it up again. No, it's been yeah. I mean, working out is a big deal for me. Running and some sort of physical exercise. I try to do it without. Well, I try to run without headphones, so I'm not constantly bombarded by things into my brain. And doing more contemplative practices like meditation and just sitting or without scrolling. I mean, the less I can be on this phone, the better I am. I mean, I'm so connected to it, and you and I, like, we're deal people, and we're constantly doing that stuff. So, like, yeah, if I can break away from my phone, like this weekend, I'm doing a silent retreat, and we have to for just Friday to Sunday, and I'm checking in. We've checked in our phones at the beginning of it, and we can't look at it till the end. And you can if we're not going to like stop somebody from doing, it, but just more intentional time without my phone and being present.
I think that's so important. I've set timers for a lot of my social media. Even LinkedIn, I feel like I could go down the rabbit hole for hours, and all of a sudden I'm like, who's moving where and what are they doing? And it just, I could justify it by saying it's partially work, but
Yeah.
it's i- it's important that we be intentional. And I love that you're doing a silent meditation. I don't know if I could be silent for more than 5 minutes. I don't even know if I could do
Well, it's
five
kind of a
minutes.
beginner one. Yeah, we can talk during like meals and stuff. It's actually the first time I did it, it was a lot of anxiety, and then it became like relaxing. So
Yeah, I think our world at large, we all need a little more downtime, a little more connectivity to each other and not through social media. A lot more listening to each other this year, hopefully.
right. Yes. Yeah. Tone out that Instagram and Twitter and all that stuff. It's just such a hotbed. Whoever shouts the loudest gets the power on those platforms. Now, we work with a lot of clients. What have you found as the overall thing that our clients are looking for when they hire somebody? Besides maybe like they can write it, get them a check for $50 million. What is kind of the overall sort of candidate? Yeah, what are they looking for?
It's time in a while. I feel like they're looking at what people add to the bottom line. I feel like for a lot of years, it was this feeling of like, let's get the right people on the bus and then we'll figure out what seats to put them in. And I think this year has been a particular year of we need specialists in certain areas. So whether that's capital raising, whether that's tax credits, whatever it might be, I think this need for specialization. And I think it's been a hybrid of like people wanting people in the office versus people wanting remote. And I think the winners have been the folks who have kind of created that hybrid environment. But I think there's been a lot of that.
I've been seeing more clients like say this it has to be 5 days. Like we're not fudging on that, which has been interesting responses from people. I feel off also like I'm seeing candidates that they're like they have to believe in the vision and the dream of like the company because a lot of these like when things slow down like on the deal side, new companies start without the track records and blah blah blah. And so you and I work with a lot of those firms, and like the people they hire have to kind of believe in the vision of what's going to happen here, and they want to get in kind of early and they buy into it. They buy into the founders and the vision of the company. So
I've loved that. And I feel like because that really resonates with us, right? So we've kind of created something where it has so much of us in it that I feel like it's been fun we sat with Colin Coodsey, and I really enjoyed listening to his journey through Blackstone and
right.
Northwood and then starting his own business. And during COVID, I remember going up to his office and he was literally showing me the furniture that he bought. And he's like, I got this chair for $1. I mean, it just like seeing people like getting real.
Yeah,
Even like Jamie Dimon, like seeing what he's built. It's been exciting.
it has. Speaking of you know Jamie Dimon, maybe he's a mentor of yours, maybe he's not. Which mentors have had the most impact upon you?
Oh, that it's interesting because we usually get to ask that question. Now
I
I have
know
to answer it.
it's for me.
You know what? I feel like I learn from the people around me. And I feel like my mentors are you, some of our partners, my husband, my children. By the way, my children are now in college, and I feel like I have learned so much from them this year that it just really like it really makes me think like you could be junior, you could be senior, you could be like, nobody knows the answer. And the humility around that has been kind of a lot of fun. How about you? Who are your mentors?
I mean, you kind of stole some of it. I was like, oh, she's going to say something like, and not even mention me and anyone at the firm. And then
No, you were my
I'm going to come in,
first.
I'm going to come in and make her feel bad. I mean, my first mentors in business were really, well, I think my grandfather, he was an entrepreneur, um, you know, just a little Italian guy when little Italian guys couldn't get much done in this country. And then like more recently, like when I joined Backrack Group in '05, like Richard Backrack was on the floor, partner Alan Ageman was there too, and they really mentored me and showed me. I don't know, they were just great to me, and like they saw something in me that maybe I didn't see in myself, and that was great. And then yeah, our part, like when I met Anthony, we started working together. Like he became a mentor because he was a little, older than me and kind of had done some things that I hadn't done and showed me how to do them and be kind of a leader and a boss. And then when I met you, it was like, yeah, it was just my world opened up even more. And so, yeah, it's the people I work with every day. And like at Jackson Lucas, I don't know. I know you and we value, the associates we have and their opinions as much as like, sometimes our partners. So we want to hear everyone's perspective. So yeah, I mean, but those are like the specific people that like people, are my life / business mentors over the years.
I love that. And I feel like as we're kind of scaling the company now, it's been like I feel like we went through the startup phase and now we're at a point where, you know, we need that next level. And I think watching Anthony, because he did that at the Backrack Group, it has been kind of magical. But we all know we don't have all the answers, so we're just we're
Right.
just doing the best we can with what we have.
Yeah, and we're getting there. It's building the plane as we're flying it, as we say, which is fun, but also painful sometimes, and hard work and frustrating sometimes too. So, well, Lisa, it's great to spend another year with you. I love working with you. I love being your friend, and so thanks for coming on our podcast.
Right back at you. And you know what? I My selling point to coming to Jackson Lucas was that I was going to get to do this podcast with you, and it's lived up to every expectation I've ever had.
That's awesome. I love that.
Thank you for listening to Beyond the Resume, a Jackson Lucas podcast where we take a deep dive into the career journeys of some of the top minds in real estate and equip you with the knowledge to move forward in your path towards the success you've envisioned. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe to Beyond the Resume. We're grateful for your support. All episodes of Beyond the Resume are brought to you by Jackson Lucas, building inclusive and diverse businesses through talent acquisition. Visit us at jacksonlucas.com.